All right, legends. Sorry, it is a late one. I finally got to get some work in outside with cricket and my soccer coaching as well. So thankful to get that done, but it just means it's a late one here for round 10 team list. And we do see the chin. Nathan Cleary is back and sexy Herbie and Frizzle. So there's a good little trio. Welcome back to, we had the 17 that would have beat the Origin teams that in the injury brigade, but thank goodness those few guys are back. And the big news there is obviously Trey Fuller is still in this team, which is great for myself. That is for sure. Herbie comes straight in for Tessie New, who looks like at this stage is going to have a syndesmosis injury, most likely. So, yeah, that's the situation there. Herbie comes straight back in and just means that I think this will be a closer game. It could even turn a little bit more to the Dolphins side, given they're the home team in this one and playing really well at the moment. Very interesting situation is developing here with the Ewan Aiken on that edge as well. You've got Felice that played some awkward minutes last week and was a weird one. Not sure why he played clearly less minutes. You did go off for a bit and then came back on. But Plath played some time on the right edge. They've got Connolly Lemuelu who played only middle last week, and that might happen again. And I think again, my guess is that it's to do with that knee and the lateral movement. So in that case, Ewan Aiken is a guy that you can clearly hold on to for a long time, most likely, unless something changes in the next few weeks. Again, I wouldn't be buying him just because he's just a shade under 700k now. And yeah, it just seems really tough to look to buy him in this one, that's for sure. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that pack, really. Max Plath, you can buy him, yes. I'm not super sold on purchasing him anymore. I think, he's getting that closer now to getting closer to being priced at 50, and I suspect that he's going to be closer to that 50 mark. So you're paying for that value. If you want someone for 13, 16, 19, it works out, but obviously be aware of around 14 as well. But he's not a slam dunk buy anymore, in my opinion. If you do need a hooker, Jeremy Marshall-King obviously can play all those buy games as well. And people are looking at Jermaine Osako. He's a very solid purchase this week as well, as a bit more of a risky type play. For the Manly side, what we do see here is Lachlan Croker out and Carl Lawton into the 9 jersey with Gordon Chen Kum Tong moving onto the interchange. So first one for him. I'm not sure what the official diagnosis was for. Oh, it's just concussion. Okay, so 1 week for him. Yeah, can't look at buying Carl Lawton as much as we want to. The big news here in this squad is obviously, Garrick and Turbo holds or buys potentially for Ruben, not for Tommy on that front. But Ben Trbojevic is back. For anyone who held on, Mr. Burbo, welcome back to him. Now, the question is when Ola Kawatu comes back next week, who will make way? Will it be Burbo or will it be Corey Waddell? If you've got Corey, definitely holding him for this week and then finding out what happens next week when Ola comes back into this team. So there you go. That's the first game of the week there for round 10. All right, Panthers Bulldogs. We do see Cleary named in the team, but he was last week as well. So we'll see how that one plays out. Hopefully he does stick in that side. Isaac Tungo, he ends up with a 1 week suspension. So Paul Alamotti comes back and he, for Supercoach, from a Supercoach perspective, he does get that third game. So if you've held on to him for this time, awesome. If you have it, if you are looking to buy him, it's a little bit of a tough one given he will be out of this side next week unless there is an injury. Edwards continues to do good things, but it seems like it's probably a 50-50 race for that fullback jersey now for Origin, which is pretty cool for him, I suppose, that's for sure. Big changes here only come on the bench for Panthers with Jack Cole on there again, but Liam Henry returns, which is good for him. And Brad Schneider is out of this side into the reserves as well. So that's the big one there on that front. Good luck to the Dogs up against the Panthers. It's going to be a really fun battle. Paul Alamotti gets to play his club he was at previously. So pretty cool on that front to show them his good stuff. Big news for the Dogs there and my team is that Jacob Kiraz has been named to play and looks like he should be fine. On that one, obviously, we've got two players there, Blake Wilson and Connor Tracy, in the reserves that Connor could come back in for Taff, and in that case, maybe they play, put him back on the interchange. But they have gone with the same team exactly that won last week with Preston in the 17 jersey. Again, just be aware that he could easily come in for Salmon on that edge spot, and be a little bit annoying for that. But I do think Jamin is a hold for this. Next little period anyway. So that's where I'd be at with that. But everyone else looks fit to go, which is nice. And Sam Hughes seems to be their sort of main forward off the bench, which is great. And yeah, you could probably play him a little bit. He's a little bit safer to play, in my opinion, than that of Jamin Salmon. He's got some, decent minutes in now and a strong PPM at that. So there you go. That's the Dogs. That'll be a fun game to watch. Eels up against the Broncos. Blaze Talagi, he gets the fullback slot. So well done to anyone who held and they needed a centre this week for Ethan Strange. That's really helped you guys out. That's for sure. I don't own him. Doing the head-to-head, but not him overall, which is the one that really matters. But yeah, Blaze returns, which is cool. Penasini's still there and is a fairly cheap asset now, obviously, with that buy out of the way. It's very helpful for them. Similar to that with Dylan Brown. You do see Ethan Sanders there, but with Mitch Moses going to be back in this team soon, Dylan Brown would be the only one I'd be looking to buy in that back seven, with Penasini as a potential second option there. Big news for Joey Lustig owners, i.e. myself. We get some luck with Brendan Hands not in the 17. He's in the 22 jersey. Bryce Cartwright does return to this side, but via the bench. So keep an eye out on, I feel like it's really hard to buy Ryan Madison this week. And if you take that plunge and it works out for you, great. But I could see it backfiring and he plays sort of 40 or 50 minutes on the edge, and that would not be enough for your sides and to get good points for your team there, which I think would suck. Sean Lane's still there. I just don't see him continuing to score really well, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out. They've got Kelmer and Cartwright on the interchange, so we'll see how that one plays out. As I said, for the Broncos, we see Josh Rogers come into the 7 jersey. I very much expect Jock Madden to return to this side next week, so I wouldn't be buying him. We do see Fletcher Baker come off the interchange into the reserves and Jack Jasewski come in to this team. And my worry now is the minutes that Brennan Piakura will play. He's played under 75 minutes the last 2 weeks, and I think that'll happen again. Maybe it's 60 odd, and that could be a little bit frustrating for sure as he returns from his ankle injury. So I would be worried playing him on a week-to-week basis. But the good thing with him is that they're coming up against some lighter teams, and he could definitely get some attacking stats. So he's an easy guy, in my opinion, to try and loop on this second Friday night game, but third game of the week there. And expect Ezra Mam to take a little bit more control over this team like he has in the last month. He's done a really good job, and obviously Walsh with the goal kicking and some general play kicking for sure will get a little bit of boost there. But I don't see him as a purchase this week, coming off a pretty low one at 30, and then Origin coming up as well. So yeah, it's good news for Xavier Willison, in my opinion, that he is sort of he's very clearly the main prop that's coming off the bench for this team. So I expect for him to get around that 40 minutes and be a hold for owners of him, that's for sure. Don't go buying Payne Haas, hold Carrigan for a little bit and go from there. All right, Tigers up against the Knights. For the Tigers there, Stafford Todd is back. We do see Brett Naden go to the wing and Alamalo leave this side. So that was a little bit frustrating on that front. With Sullivan and Galvin partnered together, expect Galvin to take a little bit more control over this side, given he's now the dominant half, in my opinion. I think that's going to be the way this plays out, and expect some good kick meters from him and hopefully a try assist or two. Maybe even a try for himself. That'd be good fun there for sure. What about this old switcheroo, hey? Isaiah Papali'i goes to the 13 role with Bateman in the 12 jersey. So that ruins our chances of getting, unless it's not going to be a week-to-week thing, ruins our chances of potentially getting a dual position from Bateman. A little bit frustrating at that. That's a bit, decent part of the reason we bought him, but I still think that either way, 80 minutes in the middle was going to get him some better scores, but Bateman will likely get some more running, some more tackle breaks, hopefully some offloads and the like that he has been getting normally, and some attacking stats on that right-hand side. I suspect him to be up against Kai Paul, so at least get some traffic his way and some good tackle numbers there. With Samuel Afinu, a very cheap prospect, mid and edge, and looks like his spot is the safest given Bateman and Papali'i are now changing positions there. And then Coruscant returning as well. So Samuela, if you want to buy him, I think that it's a good purchase this week. For the Knights, we do see Phoenix Crossland fine. As I said, it was a bit of a burner. Saifidi, Dylan Lucas moves back to interchange for Tyson Frizzell. And then Brodie Jones. So basically a 4-forward bench with Crossland really very, very likely to take minutes off Brayley now. Unless, again, there's injuries and whatever else happens in this game. So that's a little bit frustrating as to, that 48 minutes from last week with Brayley. It could be an opportunity to loop Piakura first and see how he goes, and then see, and then play Brayley on top of that if if you think he's going to outdo what Piakura can do, or one of those earlier teams. Well, I'll have a look at that for myself and go from there. But Dane Gagai, still a really good purchase this week as a gun center. David Armstrong keeps his spot, which is really good news on that front. And we don't see like a Fletcher Sharp or anything like that on the reserves, which is good. Yeah, no chance of losing his spot, I don't believe. But Christian Mapapalangi, look at him on the reserves. How good's that for him on that front? That he's getting closer and closer to this side, that's for sure. But outside of that, not really much to say here. Kaipi's Paul, just a clear hold. Hastings doing really well, but probably can't buy him at this point. So there in this one. Latu Fainu, guys. So Eden Caesar out for 4 weeks. It looks like with taking the early guilty plea, and then Latu Fainu end up doing his hamstring again, 3rd time this year. So you will see a bit of time there for Sullivan, but I wouldn't be purchasing Jaden Sullivan. For the Dragons up against the Bunnies, we do see Zach Lomax move back to the wing with Sully coming back into the centre. So with both Sully and Bird fit, Lomax will be back on the wing. But the question is, does he stick on that right-hand side, which is the winning side? And I think that Lomax is probably a really good purchase this week now that he's back in that fullback slot. Very, very interesting, that is for sure. If Ravalawa goes back to left, great, but we probably won't know, to be fair. I think that it will happen, but there's still a 70-80% chance and a 20 to 30 on the other side that he moves to the left, and it's definitely not as fun on that hand side, that's for sure. Harmstelle, it's probably harder to pick him up this week, but I still think that you can probably get away with it for one more week. I wouldn't be buying him in round 12, to be honest with you. It's now, and you can use him as a looper next week, or you probably don't get him and just stick with like Sam Hughes and these types of players for sure. Eisenhuth in the 13 role again, which is good. You see Luciano Leilua on the reserve, so that would potentially be the only change to this side from last week with Tupulotu comes out obviously there in that one. For the Bunnies, we do not see Tallis Duncan in the 13. We see Silva Havili and a few guys that are names that we don't really know, to be honest. So Havili, I think, will score really well in that role. If he gets anywhere between 50 and 60 minutes, he'll score really, really well. Mamazelis is still in there to take some minutes off Cook. Duncan on the bench, so yeah, don't buy him. Matt French on the bench as well. I don't know much about him yet. Shibasaki moves into this side. He was at the Knights last year, I believe. So he comes in on the wing. Jacob Gagai actually got injured. That's why he dropped out of that side. And then Dion Teapa. Teapa? There you go. That'll work. I'll give that a go. Get my syllables right. Trying to anyway. But yeah, he comes in at 7. And yeah, it's going to be a fun game, this one. Hopefully they can put up a decent fight, and the new guys that come in can really push hard and fight with Latrell Mitchell at the helm as well. Hopefully he can do well for his side, that is for sure. But yeah, not too much else to say on that one, apart from really it'd be Lomax or Eisenhuth or bust, to be honest with you there. Storm v Sharks, bad news. NRL Physio just popped out and said that probably 2 to 3 weeks, it looks like, for Jerome Hughes and then the bye. So he's a hard hold because that's likely to be, let's just say it's round 10, round 11. It's 2 weeks only. He would be back for round 12, then has a bye. If it is 3 weeks, then he misses 4 rounds of football and then back in round 14. So a little frustrating one, that's for sure. And Tyrone Wishart is the 7 for the next little bit. So if you own him right now, he's going to be a play on a week-to-week basis right now. And they've got Fa'alongo there in the fullback slot. So it looks like his knee complaint was completely fine, hopefully, anyway, on that front. But they've got Kane Bradley who can come in and play a role. Jack Howarth as well could go to centres, and Nick Meaney could go to fullback as well. So anyone that was looking at Meaney, hasn't worked out for him. Sua, potentially a buy. He's in a very awkward price. Didn't score that great, 24 in 50-odd minutes on the weekend with a really slick try. So he's definitely a risk that you could come out and take and go really well. But he's also coming up against a good team here in the Sharks, that's for sure. Blore and Eli Katoa, same situation as last week with Blore. I think that, should be around that 70-odd minutes. Hopefully for him, it ends up being 80 eventually. Grant Anderson moves onto the wing as well, with Xavier Coates still not available there in this one. So, yeah, that's the Storm side of things. Yeah, with Pap out as well. So, yeah, obviously we knew that. Been talking about it all weekend. All right, for the Sharkies, Iro keeps his spot. Great. Looks like it's pretty set at the moment. Team stays very much the same, which is awesome news, except for Toby Rudolph. What happened to Toby? What happened to Toby? He did do his knee. Okay. That's right. I did see him in the little brace. So Royce Hunt comes back on. I think that helps McInnes, to be honest, just for minutes. Hunt won't play anywhere near the minutes that Rudolph has been, so that'll help him. I think Kafusi, Hazleton, and Williams will also play, and maybe Hamlin-Welly will play a little extended role as well, because Braden's been coming back slower, and Talagi might increase as well. So maybe McInnes doesn't change too much, and they just use the other guys a couple more minutes each. That's for sure. All right, last couple of games, Roosters and the Wars. So for the Roosters, guys, Tedesco, very, very cheap. Potentially an option if you want to take that risk that he could come out and score really well, obviously, the next 3 weeks. And then either he goes to Origin or he doesn't, and you get a round 13 gun wing fullback, which is awesome. So that could work out. Manu, a lot more expensive, like 200k more expensive than Tedesco. So do you want to take that risk? Yes, he'll play fullback in round 13. Do you want to get him now? Do you want to wait a couple of weeks? Up to you on that front. Hargraves returns, which is good. We do see a few guys go off the bench into the reserves, and that's Egan Butcher. Pauga is gone as well, with Daniel Tupou returning. Radley's back in the starting side. He replaces Connor Watson back to the bench after his heroic efforts the last 2 weeks. So it's a really ridiculous bench, to be honest with you. Connor Watson, Nafahu White, Spencer Leniu, and Terrell May. I don't see where the minutes are for Terrell now, with how good White's been playing, with how good Watson's been playing as well. It's very, very difficult, because I think Watson at least is going to command like 45 to 50 minutes. So 20 odd off Smith, maybe 30, and then maybe 20 in the middle there. White's going to command close to 30. Spencer might be a 20-ish guy, and Terrell, is he going to be a 30 guy as well? I still think if you own him, you're playing him this week. Showed you what he can do last week, but prepare to be a little bit disappointed. If he gets lucky and it does really well, that is awesome as well. Brandon Smith, again, 50 to 55 minutes. I just don't see, with how well Connor's playing, him keeping up with those massive minutes. But again, you might have other worries, other issues in your side, and Brandon's gone down enough in price that he's not going to go 40, 50k down a week, that you could just hold. But I understand if you don't want to either. For the Walker's there as well, obviously, guys. Someone asked me if Angus Crichton, you can captain him this week. If you don't have Hines or Cleary, definitely can. I don't see any reason why you couldn't. For sure, he's coming up against, I'd imagine Ford goes back to the left, and it's going to be Barnett. So a very formidable defender, but hasn't defended on the edge in a little while, a few years at that, on a regular basis anyway. So I think he'll do pretty well. He's just in such good, greater form at the moment, that's for sure. Nothing much for the Warriors change, apart from with Kurt Cable out, we see Mitch Barnett return to the edge, which is going to be fun for him, and hopefully that plays out pretty well. Now they've lost another middle. I do expect that Tohu will probably play closer to the 80 this week, given Barnett was gunnering more minutes in that middle rotation, which I don't think Bunty, Tomale, they do have Jazz Tavanga returning, but I don't think he'll play big minutes. So Tohu likely to be closer to 80 in this week. Hopefully for him, and owners of him, that is the case for sure. And then Titans and the Cowboys. Again, thanks for being here on the later one, guys. Appreciate you guys watching whenever I'm able to post these things. Titans and Cowboys to finish things off. AJ Brimson, still a great buy. I think they're coming off a couple of good ones. Expect him to stick in that fullback slot for sure. Chris Randall moves to 6. That's pretty interesting at that. So they're going to trial that this week with Sam Verrills in the 9 jersey. Randall's a makeshift half 6, 13, can play a bit of everything, which is cool for him. Good stuff on that front. But that means Sam Verrills comes in really, really cheap, and I think he can score really well in the hooking position. But do you need another hooker in your side? That's the question. We'll go through him in the buy, hold, risk it, sell. That's for sure. And then for Fafita, again, do you need him in your side? I do expect with this interchange of Keanu Keeney that Jamin Jolliffe is a guy that will continue to get those big minutes. This bench only improves things for him for sure. With Keeney on there, Clark, Haas, and then Pahulu as well. So that's that. Khan Pereira's out of this side too. Jojo Fafita with Philip Sami. I think he was out last week as well, wasn't he? Yeah, just Tanner Boyd's the one being out. And then nothing changes for the Cows. So Scott Drinkwater, a good buy this week. Holmes you're holding and hopefully hoping for some big scores. Same with Robson. Finnair keeps his spot in the starting side and played really big minutes last week, so you could definitely hold him another week if you want to. Cotter, keep going, your good thing. And then Lukey, McKaylee, McIntyre, and Lolo on the bench. And Lukey, just keep his price coming down, I suppose, until he gets a starting spot. It's probably where we want to leave it at that for this. And Braden Burns moves into the 21 jersey. So I don't expect him to come into the team this week, but he's definitely close enough to be available, which is great. And if anything happens, I think he'll definitely be the outside back that comes into this side. Thanks so much for being here for the team list analysis, guys, and I'll see you in all of those videos tomorrow.